Coming up on the Poke Report, a look into spring football.
Baseball moving on from Allie P.
Updates on a new coaching contract.
And which players are saying goodbye to the Cowboy family.
We have all that and more on your OSU sports show, The Poke Report.
Hello and welcome back to the Poke Report. I'm Emma Stamps.
And I'm Brian Schroll. Around this time of the year, you normally hear a lot of college basketball coaches changing teams. With March Madness beginning a showcase for mid-major schools to the coaches who lead them, programs move fast to scoop those up once their season is over. We saw it last year with Brad Underwood when he left OSU for the University of Illinois.
And Mike Boynton had an outstanding year one of his own, and this time Athletic Director Mike Holder will not make the same mistake, as Boynton agreed to a contract extension which will keep him in Stillwater through the 2023-24 season. The 2-year extension to the original 5-year contract increases Boynton's annual salary to $1.6 million.
Although the Cowboys came up short in making the NCAA tournament, they exceeded expectations after being projected to finish last in the Big 12. OSU finished the year with 21 victories, tied for 6th in the standings, and won a school record 4 games against top 10 opponents. And despite Mike Boynton committing to sticking around, few players decided that they're saying their goodbyes to the Cowboy family. Nick Ramsey and Kevin Dorsey have more on what this team lost and how they'll replace them.
The Oklahoma State Cowboys started the 2017-18 season with these 12 players. Their last game was March 21st. Immediately, they lost Shine, Solomon, Smith, and Carroll to graduation. Brandon Averett, not even 2 weeks later, decided he was going to transfer. And now, also, SEMA is deciding to pursue a professional basketball career. So for the 2018-19 season, who's going to have to step up for the Cowboys, and what do they need to replace?
First, the Cowboys have to replace some of their most productive players. Carroll and Smith led the team in scoring, while Solomon led the team in rebounds with 6.5 boards per game. And Kendall Smith also led the team in assists. Brandon Averett led the team in assists as well with 2.9 a game. Jan Kubasima announced he will pursue a professional basketball career the same day that Shine announced he would not use his medical red shirt. These 6 players combined for 71% of the team's offense this season. The 6 players averaged 78% of the Cowboys' 14 assists per game, 63% of the 38 rebounds, and 74% of the Cowboys' 77 points per game.
Now, it's definitely going to be tough to replace these 6 players, as I've mentioned, but OSU will also have some new players coming in who had to sit out this year. I'm going to toss it over to Kevin Dorsey, who has more on who will be on the Cowboys roster next season. Kevin?
Thanks, Nick. So if you look here on the board, we have 4 names guaranteed to be here at Oklahoma State next year. 2 of the 4 are already here enrolled at Oklahoma State, in Curtis Jones and Michael Weathers, but they have not received any playtime due to transfer rules. And then we have the 2 commits, Ioannai and Duncan Demuth, coming in the fall. Now, Curtis Jones is a 6'4", 175 shooting guard out of Huntington Prep, West Virginia. He had 16 offers, and he had 3 visits at Indiana, Georgetown, and Oklahoma State. He committed to Indiana over Virginia, West Virginia, Virginia Tech, Wake Forest, so on and so forth. And 247 Sports listed him as the number 11 combo guard and the number 69 overall player by Rivals. Now, as a freshman at Indiana, he appeared in 33 games for the Hoosiers and shot 35% beyond the arc. And he had a season-high 15 points against the Kansas Jayhawks, which will become a foe for him here at Oklahoma State. Now, with Michael Weathers, he is a 6'2", 170-pound guard, and he was named the MAC Freshman of the Year at Miami, Ohio. He led the Redhawks in scoring, assists, steals, and blocks at the time. He led the Redhawks in scoring 22 times, posting 9 20-point games. He finished high school at Shawnee Mission North in Overland Park, Kansas as the all-time leading scorer with 1,626 points and leads in steals also with 189. He has a twin brother named Marcus who plays basketball at Duquesne, and their father played collegiately at Drake. Now we have Yor Anai, one of our signees, who finished with 4 offers from the same area as Michael Weathers, Overland Park, Kansas. And we have Duncan Demuth also, who finished with 14 offers, and he is from St. Petersburg, Florida. He chose OSU over South Carolina, South Florida, Florida State, Iowa State, many others. Once again, as mentioned earlier, Curtis Jones and Michael Weathers are already here enrolled at Oklahoma State. Now that the basketball season is over, they have had the opportunity to come to the Colvin and just get some extra work in and play pickup games. I have had the opportunity to see them play against them, and play with them. Believe me, they are the truth. Michael Weathers himself is supposed to be legitimate. I heard that for scouting reports when OSU was preparing to play OU last season, they gave Michael Weathers his own special jersey, and his rules were, quote, be Trae Young. If that's true or not, I don't know, but the way he played at the Colvin, I definitely see that why they would tell him to do that. They said he's supposed to be the truth and he could easily be the best player on the team, but don't cut any of these guys short. They all had the opportunity to go out there and compete for a spot. So hopefully we see all 4 of them contributing to the team.
The Cowboys now have only 4 scholarship players who played a minute this season. This, of course, does not include Michael Weathers and Curtis Jones, the 2 transfers who had to sit out the season, but they have been with the team practicing. Both players are expected to be big contributors, but Jones won't be eligible until December, just like Sema was. Moving over to women's basketball, the Cowgirls came up short in the women's NCAA tournament to the national championship runner-up, Mississippi State, but the story in the Final Four is Notre Dame's Arike Ugunbowale. The Fighting Irish Guard knocked out UConn in the semifinals with a buzzer beater in overtime, and they did it again to knock off Mississippi State to win the national championship.
I felt like the ball was in the air for years, and I was like, I don't know if it's going to go in, but it felt like it took forever. I never thought it would happen once, but twice. Like, it's just unreal, and it's amazing. I can't even really wrap my head around it.
Not many moments can beat back-to-back buzzer beaters, but there were plenty of moments during the women's NCAA tournament worth taking a look back at.
This year's NCAA tournament was filled with plays that'll make you say ooh and ah, and these are my top 10. Starting with number 10, Maryland versus Princeton. Kiara Leslie takes off for the loose rebound to seal the deal with an easy layup. And number 9, DePaul and Texas A&M. Kennedy Carter takes it down court, dribbles between the legs, pulls back and drains a 3 for the win with just 3 seconds left. And on to number 8, Buffalo and FSU. Sierra Dillard goes coast to coast with the steal and ends it with a layup and a flex for the fans. Number 7, Cowgirl Lauren Goodwin passes to Castro for the halftime buzzer beater. And on to number 6, Duke and Georgia. Suggs takes it from the top of the key, spins, and gets the layup. Duke goes on to win 66-40. And number 5, Oregon State and Louisville. Durr gets the long rebound and from 25 feet back drains the 3. Louisville go on to the Final Four. Number 4, UConn and South Carolina. UConn's Crystal Dangerfield hits 3 after 3 after 3. Actually, she hits 5 threes in just the first half. And number 3, UCLA's Jordan Canada pulls up for the 3, then steals it right back on the inbound for the jump shot, narrowing the lead by just 8. And number 2, Notre Dame faces UConn. And Ogunbowale's 3 to end UConn's winning streak comes up and will send Notre Dame to the championship. And finally, the top play, surprise, surprise, it's Notre Dame's Ogunbowale again with the buzzer beater from the corner for all the marbles. Fighting Irish take home the gold. Well, that's my women's top 10. For the Poke Report, I'm Salem Anthony.
Well, I, for one, am counting on seeing Coach Littell take the Cowgirls even farther into the tournament next year so OSU can have that number 1 play.
And now it's time to look at what's trending in the social world. Let's start with this week's social shoot-around. With the College Basketball National Championship on Monday, a hashtag National Championship generated some content, but nothing compared to the thousands of tweets about none other than Dante DiVincenzo. Moving on to the world of the MLB. It's here, baseball season, hallelujah. And of course for the Astros, this means magical unveiling of the World Series banner. It took them 25 years to win a World Series and about the same amount of time to reveal the banner with this awkward technical difficulty. Lastly, we take to the world of Oklahoma State sports with the announcement of the Cowboy Baseball new stadium. Former players, including Tyler Buffett, took to Twitter to announce their excitement for the program. Any way I can get one more year of eligibility, Buffett said. And that's your social shoot-around for this week. Be sure to follow the Poke Report on Twitter to keep up with all things trending on sports social media.
And when we come back, it's Throwback Thursday, and we'll also take a look at Cowboy football coming up this spring. So stay right there. We'll be right back on the Poke Report.
What is arts and sciences?
We aren't all about the arts.
We like to think of ourselves as explorers.
From exploring the human mind
to discerning the building blocks of the universe.
We don't just read books.
We don't just sit in the classroom.
And we don't just solve problems.
We seek to give everyone a voice.
In a variety of approaches.
We tackle the big issues.
By understanding complex social structures.
And even understand the small ones.
We take passions to new heights.
But stay grounded.
We tell stories.
Of the past. Of the present.
And work to predict the future.
We like to think with a little preparation. Some dirt under the fingernails.
And some self-analysis. You can do anything.
With nearly 100 degree plans to choose from.
Where will your arts and science degree take you?
Connect, achieve, succeed.
To our neighbors and friends, we come to you today to let you know what's on our hearts. Because you're the reason what we do is so much more meaningful than a job. The reason we believe in the power of investing in tomorrow and the power of community. So this is simply thank you. As we step boldly into a time of growth and change, consider this our promise that every investment in our hospital is an investment in our communities.
This spring, I invite you to shop in downtown Stillwater. Downtown Stillwater is home to locally owned shops, boutiques, eateries, and dependable professionals that you can trust. Find the perfect gift for your graduate, have a delicious meal with mom, or just stop in to enjoy great spring savings. By creating a demand for local goods and services, you can ensure a place for the local businesses that help give our community character and keep it unique. On behalf of Downtown Stillwater, thank you for shopping local.
Welcome back to the Poke Report. Well, the madness is over. There's a new champion. Villanova is back on top of college basketball. And of course, Oklahoma State did not make the tournament, even though they beat 6 of the teams in the tournament, including Kansas, who went all the way to the Final Four. And in case you forgot, the Cowboys beat them not just once, but twice. But that doesn't mean the Cowboys didn't have a great season just because they didn't make the tournament. On today's edition of Throwback Thursday, we will take a look back at some of the greatest Cowboy wins during the regular season, and yes, the upsets, and specifically the incredible dunks that came along with those. Here are the top 5 dunks from the 2018 regular season. In 5th place, we flash back to a big win early in the season over a Florida State team that would go on to make the Elite 8 in the tournament. Solomon from underneath with just over a minute left in the game to give the Cowboys the lead. A great feed from Waters for the slam. The Cowboys win that one by 1. In 4th, Solomon again. The big guy shot the fake and then he drives it in and just smashes the rim and hangs there. Now that was a huge dunk, almost as big as the Pokes' win over Kansas in Gallagher-Iba. In 3rd, The Cowboys up by 1 with 5 seconds to go in Morgantown. Smith to Carroll, and he's all alone. He slams it down to cap off a huge win over number 19 Virginia in Morgantown. In second place goes to an easy dunk from McGriff late in the game at Kansas to extend the Cowboys' lead to 11 with just over 3 minutes left to go in the huge upset in Lawrence. And in first, rounding out the countdown, it's of course the unforgettable steal by Solomon with the pass from the floor to Shine for a good clean dunk, putting the Cowboys within one of the Sooners. And of course, the Pokes went on to win Bedlam in overtime. So that was a look back at some of the greatest dunks during the 2018 regular season that just so happened to be during some of the greatest upsets. That will do it for this edition of Throwback Thursday. Back to you, Brian.
Thanks, Emma. My favorite was Mitchell Solomon's pump fake at the elbow, then drive and dunk. But switching gears to football, Mike Gundy and the Cowboys have a few gaping holes to fill and big questions to be answered. For the first time in about 4 years, Mason Rudolph won't be on the sidelines next fall for the Cowboys. James Washington, Chris Lacey, Marcel Aitman, Trey Flowers, Ramon Richards are all some of the names that won't be returning as well. OSU has held its annual Pro Day. All-American quarterback Mason Rudolph and Biletnikoff Award winner James Washington were the day's headlines. Calvin Alexander covered Pro Day, has been tracking the draft stocks of a couple first-rounders. As I mentioned earlier, during spring football, the Cowboys have to address a few questions. Calvin is live outside the Sherman E. Smith training facility. Calvin, what are some of your takeaways from OSU's Pro Day?
Thanks, Brian. A couple of weeks ago, Oklahoma State hosted its NFL Pro Day here. A representative from all 32 NFL teams attended, with Mason Rudolph, James Washington, and Marcel Aitman all participating in NFL Pro Day here. Mason Rudolph threw passes, went through all the drills. So did James Washington, where Marcel Aitman was a little bit limited with having a little bit of satisfaction from his combine. James Washington increased his vertical to 39 inches, would have been the top 5 verticals for wide receivers at the NFL Combine. He reflects on what made the difference at the Pro Day with his vertical versus what it was at the Combine.
I mean, when I'm here, in this comfortable environment, I'm jumping like that regularly. But, the 34.5 at the Combine, I just got down on myself because I feel like I'm a perfectionist. Like, I always want the best for myself, no matter what it is. I'm going to always push myself to be the best I can be. So, I'm pretty happy with my results today.
So the big question going into the season is who will start at quarterback? Also, what can we expect this next season?
Oklahoma State enters the spring practice with the quarterback competition wide open. There are 4 quarterbacks to be on the roster come this fall, with one joining late. Drew Brown, a transfer from Hawaii, will join the roster in June, which will be a little later than one would hope, but he'll have the most experience out of any of the quarterbacks on the roster in the college football system. But that means he'll also have the least amount of time to prepare for the season, transferring from Hawaii in June. Then there's Spencer Sanders, who will be a true freshman for Oklahoma State. He's been a highly touted recruit for Oklahoma State and is a 4-star recruit. He's a dual-threat quarterback who could lead some new possibilities to the Mike Yurcich system, but he'll have some competition to go up against. Woodtie and Cornelius for Oklahoma State are the 2 quarterbacks on the roster who will be returning. Both have had minimal experience, but Cornelius definitely has more experience than Woodtie, with being on the roster since 2014. There is, however, one thing for certain. Oklahoma State will maybe have the best running back in the conference, if not the country, in Justice Hill. Hill will be returning to lead the Cowboys' offense into the sunset, hopefully, but with competition in the quarterback and a lot of other changes on the defensive side, with letting Glenn Spencer go and hiring a new defensive coordinator, who knows how the season will play out. If I had to make a personal guess, this season for Oklahoma State upcoming will be very rocky with all the changes at the helms.
I think we're all interested to see how this plays out. Your insight is always appreciated. Thanks, Calvin. Well, Gundy earlier in the spring kind of hinted that Taylor Cornelius is the top quarterback on campus right now, but that doesn't include the Hawaii transfer Drew Brown and Spencer Sanders coming in, so yeah.
Right, it's going to be a tight race to see who gets to replace Mason Rudolph.
Yeah. Well, switching to baseball, Allie P. Reynolds Stadium has one full season left. Cowboy Baseball announced a new stadium that will replace Allie P. This stadium has yet to have a name, but Cowboy Baseball's new home finds inspiration from Boone Pickens Stadium. It's set to open for the 2020 season and will be located at the corner of Washington Street and McElroy Road, right across the street from the Greenwood Tennis Center. It will include about 3,500 permanent seats, 13 suites, and 400 premium seats. Seating can expand up to 8,000 as needed. Head coach Josh Holliday shared his thoughts on the new project.
It's really remarkable. I mean, it's been worth it every step of the way. It's been a great lesson to see how something like this occurs. It wouldn't have happened without amazing support, amazing generosity, as Coach spoke about. But his vision, this wouldn't have happened without him. And when you're a coach and you're at your university, all you want to know is that you're going to be given a chance to try to do something and be the best at it. And from day one, Coach Holder has made that opportunity real for us.
On to this past weekend, the Cowboys welcomed number 18 ranked TCU Horned Frogs to Stillwater. Cowboy bats were hot over the 3-game series, as well as their timing, as the Cowboys hit at least 2 home runs and 2 doubles in each game and scored a pair of late-inning walk-off wins in the first and third game. OSU swept TCU in the 3-game series, beating them 7-6 in the first game, 12-7 in the second game, and 9-8 in the final one. The Cowboys improved to 15-10 overall with a 4-2 record in Big 12 play. OSU outfielder John Littell was named the NCBWA National Hitter of the Week, in part because of his contributions over the series.
It was a great crowd at Alley P over the weekend for that series, and while Cowboy fans have an improved experience to look forward to with the new stadium, you could say the baseball watching experience at Alley P has taken a boost because of the sales of alcohol that are now permitted. Taylor Hernandez takes a closer look at this one-year pilot program.
Beer and baseball, a pair so synonymous this time of year. And until this season, it was a pair that didn't come easily for OSU baseball and softball fans. OK State Deputy Athletic Director Chad Weiberg says the decision to sell alcohol in the ballparks was all about the fans.
Fan experience was the main driver, so we have had for a number of years the ability to have alcoholic beverages in our premium levels, and so the idea was that this would be something that fans in other areas of the stadium or venues may be interested in being able to have as well.
It's no secret that selling alcohol at the ballpark is going to mean big money for the athletic department. The University of Texas reported $3.1 million in alcohol sales during the 2016 football season, and West Virginia wasn't far behind with $3 million since their program began in 2011. But where will all of this money go? Back into the athletic department to enhance the fan experience.
A lot of it is infrastructure and changing infrastructure, adding infrastructure to better service the fans. So, for example, we would like to continue to add more point of sale systems.
But will this change warrant bigger crowds this spring?
It's more of a professional atmosphere, so people who really enjoy professional baseball, but we don't have a team here in Oklahoma, kind of get the ballpark feel more so now that alcohol sales are being implemented.
I think it might be better for students, not having to, because I know a lot of students sneak it in and get in trouble that way, so having that available I think would be really good.
Weiberg says the university plans to wait until later this season to decide if the program will go into effect for football games this fall. For the Poke Report, I'm Taylor Hernandez.
One thing Taylor didn't mention, Texas and West Virginia are the only other Big 12 schools to sell alcohol at any sporting event. OSU became the third, and despite the reputation alcohol gets, Ohio State, Texas, and West Virginia officials all said their alcohol-related incidents dropped since.
Now, the element of control, people don't have to sneak them in, but the school controls the distribution.
That's right. And when we return, tennis opens Big 12, and the softball bats are still swinging. You won't want to miss it right here on the Poke Report.
Against Kansas in that win, 12 threes made. Against OU, 9 threes made. Against Baylor, both times they played them, 5 threes.
Falling into this role, I kind of like it. Just any chance I get to throw for this team and go out there and help them out in any way possible. I love to do that for them.
Is it disappointing for this team to know that they could potentially, if given the opportunity, have success in March, but the thing is it's looking less and less like they're actually going to get there?
I mean, you're dealing with right now, the premier softball program in the nation in Oklahoma.
Welcome back to the Poke Report. The Cowboy and Cowgirl tennis teams start Big 12 conference play this weekend, and Natalie Sutton is at the Greenwood Tennis Center. Natalie, what's going on out there? What are you seeing?
Hey, Emma. Yeah, there's not much action going on right now. It's probably because they're resting up for this weekend's matches. But what I can say is, if you look behind me, it's a little gloomy out, so I think there's actually some rain in the forecast. So expect some indoor matches this weekend.
Awesome. And what can we expect from both Cowboy and Cowgirl tennis this conference season?
Well, the Cowboys ITA is currently ranking number 14, where the Cowgirls are at number 10. But overall, OSU has consistently been stepping up over the seasons, so I expect some great things.
Great. And I heard you were able to catch up with Artur Dubinsky. What did he have to say about conference play?
I did. Dubinsky said some great things about conference play. He's looking forward to it, especially teams such as OU and Texas. But I'm going to let you see what he had to say about this weekend's matches.
I mean, like, everyone is our team, like, so excited to start, like, Big 12, because I think for us it's the most important tournament. We did a good job, like, during this season, and we're in good shape.
OSU knows conference play means time to buckle up. In fact, ITA recognizes the Big 12 in a big way, being the only conference to have all the men's teams ranked among the top 30 in the nation. The Cowboys have 5 veterans returning that hosted NCAA Regional for the 2nd straight year in a row and advanced to the 2nd round of the NCAA tournament for the 4th year in a row. Senior spotlight goes to All-American Julian Cash. His doubles games earned him the spot at number 5 in the Cowboys program for earning multiple All-American honors. Dubinsky said having the home court advantage for the start of the conference is huge, and the teams plan on taking full advantage of it. In the last 3 seasons since the Michael and Ann Greenwood Tennis Center has been open, the Cowboys have won 56 matches. The Cowgirls feel the same way. They have won 45 of their last 46 matches here at home. The Cowgirls have spent 70 consecutive weeks in the ITA's top 25. The last time OSU was outside the top 25 was March 18th, 2014. Senior spotlight is on Megan McCrae, who is a 2nd single spot this season, winning 11 of her 12 matches. McCrae has gone 4-0 against ranked opponents so far this season and 2-0 against players ranked in the top 50.
Tomorrow, the Cowgirls will play Tulsa at 3:30. Following that, the Cowboys will play Texas Tech at 5:30. Now back to you, Emma.
Great. Thanks, Natalie.
Cowgirl softball team will be busy this weekend because it has 3 games in 3 days. Garrett Rockwell has more.
It was Bark in the Park night at Cowgirl Stadium on Friday when the Oklahoma State Cowgirls opened Big 12 conference play against the Iowa State Cyclones. The Cowgirls' Whitney Whitehorn got things started early with a towering hit over the left field fence for a grand slam in the 1st inning to give OSU the lead 4-0. The Cowgirls used this early momentum throughout the game on both offense and defense. Starting pitcher Samantha Clackley pitched the entire game and finished with 2 strikeouts. She also had help from her defense all night, including this double play while runners were in scoring position. Third baseman Vanessa Shippey adds an RBI single in the bottom of the 5th to extend the lead, and the Cowgirls would go on to win 8-1.
The Cowgirls opened up conference play and started a 3-game series with the Cyclones Friday night with a win. Game 2 will be played Saturday here at 2 o'clock. Game 3 will be played here Sunday at noon. During Game 3, both teams will look to raise awareness and raise money for cancer. Oklahoma State will be wearing all orange uniforms in an attempt to orange out cancer. For your Orange Nation Sports Update, I'm Garrett Rockwell.
Thanks, Garrett. Now, before we let you go, let's take a look at this week in OSU sports. The Cowboys dropped a game in Wichita on Wednesday against the Shockers 7-5. This weekend, the Cowboy baseball team will stay in Kansas as the team heads to Manhattan for a 3-game series with the Kansas State Wildcats. Last time the Cowboys were in Manhattan, they swept the Wildcats back in 2016.
And the Cowgirl softball team will play a doubleheader today in Lawrence against the Kansas Jayhawks, and then wrap up the series with an afternoon game at 3 p.m. The Cowgirls dropped a tough one on Tuesday against Tulsa as they rallied in the 5th inning to tie the game at 4-all before surrendering three runs in the 6th and losing 7-4.
With golf being a hot topic right now because of the Masters, Cowboy golf team will look to bring some hardware back home in its own as the team heads to the College Station for the Aggie Invitational. Now, earlier this week, OSU golfer Victor Hovland was named the Big 12 Golfer of the Month for March after posting a trio of top 3 finishes.
On the women's side, former Oklahoma State All-American Pernilla Lindbergh won the year's first LPGA major. She sank a 30-foot putt to outduel Inbee Park on the 8th playoff hole to win the Anna Inspiration. The victory is the first of Lindbergh's professional career and is the first major win by a Cowgirl alumna.
That's it for everyone here at the Poke Report. Thanks for tuning in. For the great crew around us, I'm Brian Schroll.
And I'm Emma Stamps. We'll see you next time on the Poke Report.